2017 was a heck of a ride. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with yet another video, and this video is going to be my 2017 end-of-year Q&A, which has become an annual event on this channel, the end-of-year Q&A. And before I get to your guys' questions, I just want to take a moment to thank you guys for everything this year. Some of the major highlights of the year were we've reached over 900 followers on Twitter. The channel has broken the 2,600 subscriber and 2,700 subscriber multiple points throughout the year. It fluctuates, but we also had some things go on this year that were very interesting, at least to me, as far as the anime world goes, with Vrains and Sun and Moon, and of course Sword Art Online, which has yet to make its debut on this channel because Season 3 keeps getting pushed back and back and back, but the teasing for everything is just amazing. But that stuff aside, I also do want to thank you guys on the fan fiction front. 2017 was a great year in fan fiction for not just me, not for just this channel, but for everybody from the feedback I've been receiving. Well, for the most part. Some of you guys, especially on Twitter, will probably know what I'm getting at with that for the whole most part thing. But Return to the Different Dimension has been very well received. Family Adventures has done really well as well as multiple one-shots that have come throughout the year. So I want to take a moment to thank you guys for an awesome ride, not just for this channel and for Poke Talk, but the Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussions and fan fiction as well. And I hope that 2018 brings more of the same. We continue to improve, and we continue this journey together. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start taking your questions. And again, I look forward to answering all of them as long as the guidelines that were in the rules video are met. I do look forward to answering all of them. And again, thank you guys for everything. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And now that my rambling is over, let's go ahead and get to your guys' questions. All right, V-Mon Link 64. You start off by telling me that you loved all my videos this year. Thank you for that, by the way, V-Mon. I appreciate your support. But your questions were as followed. Other than Pokemon, what are your favorite Nintendo series? And I'm assuming, V-Mon, you mean on the game consoles. And with that being said, that would probably have to go to Smash. Smash is my second of all time favorite Nintendo series. Mario is a close third. But anyway, Smash Brothers, love that series, and it needs more love, I'll be honest with you. There are some years where Smash is better for me than Pokemon. This past year was not the case, however, because Sun and Moon were really great games in my opinion. But yeah, I would have to say my top three favorite series are Pokemon, Smash, and Mario. Then you asked me, what are some of the rarest things I have in my collection of either games, cards, or figures? Okay, I got two, and both of them are actually just rare here in the United States. They're not so rare if you, say, go over to Europe or if you go to Japan. The first one I have, and it's actually over here on my wall when I'm looking at it as I'm answering this question, that would be my limited edition holographic Slifer the Sky Dragon. I actually had it framed on the wall. I had a special frame made up for it. And what's special about this card is it's the holographic limited King of Games edition. And the neat thing about this card was there was a massive shipping error when this card first came out. And I believe it first came out in 2004. Don't quote me on that because I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, came out in about 2004. But due to a major shipping mistake, most of these copies of this card went over to Europe. Almost none of them went to the United States, as I found out when I went to a card appraiser over at Tier 1 Gaming when he was there. And I do Yu-Gi-Oh! Seminars for Tier 1 every once in a while. But anyway, that card was appraised for about $245 because it's so rare stateside. In fact, the guy said he only knows of 12 examples of this card that are here in the States. Almost all of them that he's ever seen are in Europe or in European collections. Almost nobody here in the States has them, and that's why it's so rare here. He said, but as soon as I take that card over to, say, Britain or Ireland or somewhere over there, the card's value would drop significantly, almost by 90% as soon as it went overseas. But here in the States, very rare, and I have it on a special frame on my wall. And yeah, that's probably the rarest card I have in my collection. And again, the other rare thing I have in my collection, and again, this is just rare stateside, not rare in Japan at all, because I actually picked this up on my trip to Japan. I actually have the Serena and Sylveon gem figure. I actually did go and buy that while I was in Japan, guys, so please don't judge me. And I did bring it back, and it is sitting on my shelf here as well. And again, not so rare in Japan, but here, pretty rare. They're pretty hard to get here stateside. So yeah, those would probably be the two rarest things I have on my shelf right here. Okay, your next question is, since the Switch is doing so well, other than Pokemon, what game series do you want to see get a sequel on the Switch that Nintendo didn't already put on the Switch? Oh gosh, that's a hard question. Well, I have yet to see a new Smash come out for the Switch, and I'm not sure about the eShop. But actually, I don't think I have one. I would like to see a remake of Donkey Kong come to the Switch if that ever did happen. And again, I don't know if that's available through the eShop. I have not seen it yet, but I would like to see a Donkey Kong sequel come to the Switch, just saying. I think the new control system would suit that very, very nicely, especially the whole handheld console hybrid gag. I really think that would work really well, in my opinion. Okay, so V-Mon, those are the answers to your questions. Again, thank you for liking and supporting. All right, next up, Brian Radjuan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Abrian, and if I am not, I do sincerely apologize. Okay, your first questions are, number one, did you think Sun and Moon episode 56 is funny or not? That's funny. No, I did not think it was funny at all. In fact, I thought it was rather annoying, and I will do an episode impression about that probably either Saturday or Sunday. I'm not completely sold yet on which side it's going to be. But yeah, 56, that's funny. No, I didn't think it was funny at all. Okay, number two, besides Serena, what is your favorite Pokegirl? I know you love Serena, but any girl else? Okay, it's funny because I was actually thinking about this the other day. Who would be my favorite of all the Pokemon girls? And I gotta say, if Serena is always going to be my personal favorite. But I would have to say probably another one that's really close up there is Dawn. And in fact, I have said before, if you were to ask me ranking the Pokegirls, it would probably be Serena, Dawn, Bonnie, then May, Lily, Mallow. Lily and Mallow are tied, by the way. Misty, Lena, then Iris. Most likely that would be how I'd rank them. But yeah, if it wasn't Serena, it would be Dawn. And little known fact about me, well, maybe not so much little known anymore. I used to be a Pearl shipper, then I jumped ship to a Moore shipping. So yeah, that's probably another reason why. But anyway, Dawn would be my next favorite. Okay, number three for your questions. In episode 57, the preview is Pokemon Season 21, Episode 1, just asking. No, Japan really doesn't do the whole season thing. It's not as big of a thing over there as it is here. I do know that after Misty and Brock's episodes, the dub is now on Season 21 now. But as far as the Japanese system, as far as I can remember, they usually don't do the whole season thing. And even so, Pokemon, when they do the season thing, it's about a little more than halfway through the series, so I don't think this is Series 21 yet. I do think probably at the end of regular Sun and Moon, we might do like an alternate title, which will be Season 21, kind of like what they did with XY and XY and Z. But yeah, as far as I know, this is not Series 21. All right, next up, Waterkin. And you asked me, do you like how Sun and Moon put comedy moments at the end of serious and depressing episodes? And if you like, can you tell me why? Okay, it's interesting you say that. Well, I really do believe that the deep and serious moments are probably some of the better episodes they do in Sun and Moon. Prime example is the Lytton and Stoutland episode, by the way. I think that's the only episode so far that received almost a perfect score on my scale. But it's strange that you asked me that, and here's the reason why. I don't mind when they put comedic moments into serious and depressing episodes like that, especially to end the episode on a lighter note. That I don't mind. What I really, really mind and what really bothers me, though, is when they put those moments into the episodes where they're not needed and they try to shove it down your throat like, okay, we're going to give you some comedy here, so you're going to take it, you're going to like it. No. Now, the little bit of comedic moments to end the episode on a lighter note or to lighten the tone, those are fine when they're done correctly, but when they're just done for them to be there and they're shoving them down my throat, no, I don't like it at all. All right, your second question. If there's a movie crossover, what do you like to see? Okay, I'm not sure exactly what your question means here as a movie crossover. If you mean like 2 series in 1 movie, I really don't like those crossovers. In fact, a big example for me was it was a big thing that Nickelodeon did back in the early 2000s. They did a lot of crossovers. Never cared for them much, and I still don't today. As far as movie crossovers for, say, generations of a series, like, say, Pokemon, like if they were to cross, say, like a Gen 1 movie with a Gen 7 movie, for example, like what movie 21 looks like to me, that would be okay. And in fact, movie crossovers actually do really well, in my opinion, for this. Movie 20 was a prime example. Not the best Pokemon movie ever, but still really great when they crossed the Gen 1 and the Gen 7 thing on an alternate timeline. It was really well done, in my opinion. Okay, your third question is, do you think Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is to some extent like Black and White 2? The Ultra Wormhole and the whole fight with the past villain should be put on the Sun and Moon game, not Ultra. Now, I do not think Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is like Black 2 and White 2. And contrary to popular belief, I did not mind the Black and White games. They were actually some of my favorites. I just didn't like the anime series. But as far as comparing them, I actually think that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is not like Black 2 and White 2, because basically Black and White, while yes, on some aspects with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they were upgrades. Black 2 and White 2 actually gave us more story. They filled in some of the gaps of the original games, whereas Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon just changed the story. They didn't fill in the gaps, they changed the story, especially with Rainbow Team Rocket. So on that aspect, in my opinion, no, it's not like Black 2 and White 2. And as far as the whole Rainbow Team Rocket thing and all that, and the Ultra Hole should have been on Sun and Moon game and not Ultra, I will agree with that to some extent. I really think that they would have been better off putting the whole aspect of the Ultra Wormhole and the whole fight with the past villains. I think that would have been a great concept to put in the original Sun and Moon. But again, that's just something different that they did. But I did really enjoy the battle tree in the first one. So I do agree with you to some extent, but on the other side, if they had done that with the regular Sun and Moon games and they included everything with that, Sun and Moon would have been probably one of the most complex and most frustrating games, for me anyway, ever to exist. And, you know, they're Pokemon games, so they're not really hard. But at the same time, you know, you got to look at it from that perspective. It would have been ultimately the largest game in Pokemon history. And I do think the way that they handled Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and made it the last Pokemon game for the 3DS system and the 3DS platform, overall, I was okay with that. So on one side of it, I agree with you. On the other side, not so much. I think that this, with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, it was the best way to send Pokemon off on the 3DS system, in my opinion. Okay, and then you go on to thank me for doing episode impression videos for Sun and Moon because you don't think you have the heart to watch the show anymore, and you wish me a good 2018 for me and the channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And don't worry, I will keep doing episode impressions. And I agree with you. There are some times where I'm like, why am I still doing this? But I'm doing it anyway. All right, next, Champion Wolf. Or, excuse me, Champion Wolf 13. And you asked me, who do you predict will be on Ash's final Alola team? Okay, so I'm one of the standouts here on this whole debate because people have asked me my opinion on this before. And I actually think Ash may have an incomplete team here on Sun and Moon. I think obviously we're going to have Pikachu. We're going to have Lycanroc. I think Litten will eventually evolve into Incineroar. I hope that's not rushed, and I really don't like Incineroar to start with, but I really do think that's what's going to happen. And as much as I hate to say it, I think the little owl Rowlet will probably evolve into Ducedai for final team. And of course, we'll have Poipole most likely, because it's been hinted at like crazy that Ash will get Poipole. And we will be seeing it in the anime here for too long. As far as his final slot, though, I'm at a loss. I really do think that Ash will probably have an incomplete team in Alola. I really hope I'm wrong, but I really don't see anything right now that would fit him for a 6th slot, in my opinion. So I'm one of those people where I'm pretty sure he's going to have an incomplete team. But again, I could be wrong. So those are just my quick little predictions on that. Okay, your next question. Other than Serena, do you have any other favorite characters you want to return or have an inclusion of a character in the games? And you go on to note that Brock and Misty have already returned. And actually, somebody pitched me this idea on Twitter, and I was actually all on board for this. Remember, we went to Kanto and we did that special extracurricular lesson on gym battles? Somebody actually pitched the idea of at some point them doing an extracurricular activity revolving around coordinating and performing. And for that to happen, we would actually see a return of Serena, May, and Dawn all at the same time for that. And I'll be honest, I would actually be pretty okay with that. In fact, the idea was pretty cool to me. And of course, we'd be able to see some Serena and Ash moments. We'd also get to see 2 other characters that are okay to return, in my opinion. I would really like to see Dawn again. May, not so much, but sure, I'll take May. Pretty much as long as it's not a Pokemon character that is not Iris, anybody else shows up, I'd be happy with. Drop the mic. That's all I got to say. But yeah, so other than Serena, that is what I could see happen, and I'd really like to see that happen, in my opinion. Okay, and then your third question, what are my top 5 favorite movies of all time? Okay, so this is actually a very interesting question. It made me think a little bit as I was reading these questions before I went ahead and started answering them. I would have to say my top 5 movies of all time would probably be started off with the ordinal scale movie of Sword Art Online. Really enjoyed that movie. Probably next up would be the latest Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. Really like that movie, in my opinion. A really good movie. I would probably also put We Were Soldiers, which is a old war movie about the Vietnam War. Maybe I like that movie so much because I'm a history nut and my father served in the Vietnam War. Not entirely sure on that, but that would be on the top 5 as well. I would also have to say there is a Pokemon movie on the top 5 list, and that would be Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. That was my favorite of all-time Pokemon movies, and it still holds true today. And probably rounding out this top 5, I would probably have to say... It's weird that you asked me this, and I continue to have to think about it, because a lot of the movies I watch all play on the same scale, but I would probably have to say the first Transformers movie would probably round out the top 5. And again, this was a hard question for me to answer because most of the movies I watch, I really enjoy. I usually don't waste time on movies if I don't think I'm going to enjoy them. But yeah, so those are my top 5 movies of all time. And again, Champion Wolf, thank you for your questions and thank you for your support. Okay, next up is Durham Arc Tim Bhatia. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, I do apologize as always. Okay, your questions, you say my questions are simple. First, you ask me, why don't I watch anime other than Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! And SAO, like High School DxD and other anime? And I'm confused by this question because I do watch other animes. I did watch High School, although I wasn't really particularly keen on that. I do, as hard as it is to believe, I do take people's recommendations. I do watch them when I get a chance. It's just I'm extremely busy. Didn't particularly care for that one. Another one that was suggested to me, and I've been watching it, and I've actually been enjoying it, is Full Metal Alchemist. But Yu-Gi-Oh!, SAO, and Pokemon are always going to be my top 3 favorites, so those are the 3 that I talk about the most. But yeah, I do watch other animes. It's just high school didn't really catch my attention. Like I said, right now I'm hooked on Full Metal Alchemist. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Next question you asked me is, will I ever get a face reveal? And I gotta say yes, as soon as I promised all you guys last year, I believe it was, that as soon as this channel reached 5,000, I would do a face reveal. And we still haven't reached 5,000. I will do a face reveal eventually, but we got to get to that point there to celebrate, you know. You got to have something to celebrate. So again, that's my answer to that question. And third, my thoughts on Sun and Moon and SAO Season 3. Okay, so Season 3 of SAO, to the best of my knowledge, has not come out yet. As far as I know, it's been pushed back and pushed back. I've yet to see it. I'm really excited for Season 3 of SAO, really enjoy Sword Art Online, and I really do enjoy seeing the third season when it comes out, and I really hope they pick up some mistakes that they did before and they fix those. But regardless, I'm still hyped for that. And then my thoughts on Sun and Moon? It's a Pokemon series. Not one of the better ones, not one of the worst ones. It's not Black and White bad, but it's nowhere near as good as XY and XY and Z. It just falls there in the specter of the in-between ground. And actually, that has, my thought on that while I'm on this subject did change a little bit. At first, I thought Sun and Moon was more horrid than Black and White, or there for a while I thought that. Then we got the Aether Foundation arc, and then it kind of picked up a little bit, and now it's slowly going back down. I hope they pick up the momentum and they keep going on, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Maybe that's just a pipe dream. But regardless, Sun and Moon, not the best, not the worst either. So anyway, Durham Arc, thank you for your questions, and I enjoy your support. I enjoy talking to you on Twitter. We think a lot alike on a lot of subjects. Okay, next up is James McClure. And you go on to tell me that it's hard to believe that it's 2018 already, and I do agree with you on that. Hard to believe 2018 is almost here. But your questions were as followed. Number one, of all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generations, who is your favorite antagonist and male and female protagonist? Oh, a hard question. Another one right off the bat. Well, not entirely. I would have to say favorite male protagonist would have to go to Yami Tim. One of the most developed male protagonists, in my opinion, and his story was so well handled, and it was one of the few times where a protagonist actually left where I was crying, like, don't go. But anyway, Yami Tim would have to be my favorite of all time male protagonists. Female protagonists, on the other hand, is a bit more of a toss-up. I would have to say it's a toss-up between Akiza from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds and Yuzu from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. Why is Yuzu on that list? She's probably one of the least developed of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. I disagree. I think her development was all over the place. I'm not going to lie, and I feel there were a lot of holes in her development, but at the same time, her personality was just hilarious. In any episode where you saw Yuzu, a laugh was almost guaranteed, and that's probably why all the episodes with Yuzu in them made me laugh, and that is why she is one of my favorite female protagonists from Yu-Gi-Oh! And then favorite antagonist, and again, this is another hard one and probably another toss-up. I'm going to say it's a toss-up between Seto Kaiba and Revolver from Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. And like I said, the reason why Revolver is on this list so early on is because for what Vrains is, his character is so out of place, and it makes you wonder what the heck he's up to. And although Revolver is evil, I don't think his evil is true evil. I think it's just a distaste of anything artificial intelligence. I think he really is fighting for what he believes is a noble belief, and in the process, he's just like an evil SOB. But anyway, Revolver's badass, and his theme's also pretty badass too. And it's funny because when I went to Japan to do this Train the Trainer course, one of the paramedics that I trained had Revolver's theme on his phone as a ringtone. And I actually pulled him aside and had the translator beg him to tell me where he got it so that I could get it on my phone, and which I did. So the Revolver theme is now my ringtone on my phone, and that's awesome. I love that theme, by the way. But anyway, we sat there and we had a good hour and a half, 2 hour long discussion just about Vrains, and it's only 33 episodes long at this point, and that's just insane. And at the time we were having this conversation, it wasn't even 31 episodes completed yet. So again, the fact that you can go and have a 1 hour long Yu-Gi-Oh discussion with a fan and it's not even 30 episodes old, that's pretty impressive. So anyway, those are my thoughts on favorite Yu-Gi-Oh characters, protagonists, antagonists. Your second question, or what are my thoughts on Sun and Moon so far, and any predictions for Sun and Moon anime come 2018? As I stated before, my thoughts on Sun and Moon right now, not the best, but definitely not the worst either. It's just there. It's a Pokemon series. What do you expect? And as far as predictions for the anime come 2018, I do think we're going to see a lot more of these Ultra Beast missions for the Ultra Guardians. Other than that, not really a whole lot of predictions I have in the preview for 2018. Really didn't cement anything new for me, in my opinion. Okay, and your third question, and I'm going to go ahead and answer this anyway, although I guess it could technically be crossing the line. I'm going to answer it anyway. You go on to ask me, we all know Entity Maze is now in a relationship via a fan, Sylvie. How about you, Templars? The short answer to your question, no. And if you guys follow me with any regularity, you would know from my previous Q&A and today, I am happily divorced, and I was temporarily married to my ambulance partner for about 3 hours. But anyway, happily divorced on that. Right now I'm a bachelor and I like it that way. Although I am very happy for Entity and Sylvie. I'm always happy when my friends find that special someone. But again, that's just me. So James, I hope that answered your questions. Okay, next up is Kyle Rodriguez. And you asked me 3 questions as well. The first one is, what is the strangest thing to happen to you at your job this year? The story about the car and the tree was priceless last year, by the way. Okay, so I think this one would have to go down to the events at the Fall Festival in September. Our town holds an annual festival every year, and we were one of the ambulance crews out there. I was there with my driver and my partner, aka my ex-wife, and we were there working the festival, and my ex-wife, my partner, her sister came over, her twin sister nonetheless, and the county deputies thought it would be very funny to handcuff the 4 of us together and leave us there. So I kid you not, what ended up happening was the first deputy comes over, he handcuffs me to my ex-wife, quote unquote, my partner, and then they handcuff my driver to her sister, and then the third deputy comes over and uses his handcuffs, put it over the one that connected me and my partner, and the one that connected my driver and her sister. So the 4 of us had to wander around that festival trying to find these guys, because after they did that, they left to go get lunch. So we were dragging each other around that festival for about a good hour and a half, trying to find them, to get them to uncuff us. And how video of that did not wind up on YouTube, I do not know. I do still check it periodically to make sure that video never shows up. But we did eventually find them, and they were eventually able to uncuff us. But as they did so, they looked at us and said, "Oh, come on, you know you guys enjoyed it." The 4 of us strongly disagreed, but that's a story for another day. So anyway, that would probably be the strangest thing to happen to me this year, the 4 of us being handcuffed together and having to drag each other around for about an hour and a half, find the people to uncuff us. But anyway, that is the answer to that question. Your second question is, what is your favorite Pokemon from the Sun and Moon anime so far? Gotta be Sylvie. I love Sylvie. That thing is badass. It looks badass. And with Gladion, it makes a really good match. Sylvie has got to be my favorite Pokemon in the Sun and Moon anime so far. Just watch, that's going to be the Pokemon Ash loses to in the Alola League. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist saying that, but I really do think that's what's going to happen. Okay, and your third and final question is, what is my favorite monster from Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains? Borreload Dragon. Revolver's Ace. Gotta be Borreload. Can't be anything else. Drop the mic. Borreload is just such a badass monster. It looks so badass, and its animation is really, really good in my opinion. And the fact that it is so crazy complicated to defeat, and the fact that it is so crazy complicated to summon, just adds to it in my opinion. Alright, so Kyle, I hope those answer your questions, and thank you for your support, and I hope you continue to support us as we go on into 2018. Okay, next up, we have Spooky Stone 3393. And your questions were as followed. How many episodes do I think Sun and Moon will go on for? I think Sun and Moon will probably go on to at least 140, I'm going to say, because that's about the average of a Pokemon series. I think Diamond and Pearl went on 193, and XY, and Z went on about 144, if I remember correctly. So I would say about 140 would be a safe estimate on that. Your next question is, if I liked Star Wars, what did I think of The Last Jedi? As I said before, Last Jedi made it on my top 10 favorite movies. Really enjoy Star Wars as a franchise. Really enjoyed the movie. It was a very good movie in my opinion. I'm torn on how I feel about Disney now owning Star Wars, because I'm on the middle of a little bit of a Disney boycott, but I made an exception for Star Wars because Star Wars is an American classic, and in fact, I believe that if you don't watch Star Wars, you're not an American. But anyway, those were my thoughts on Star Wars, and I hope that answered your question. Number 3, finally, what would be the perfect ending for the Pokemon anime, and how and when do you think it should end? Well, I think it should have ended at the end of X, Y, and Z, to be honest. And as I stated before, my perfect ending would be Ash eventually reuniting with Serena, the two of them finally settling down, and that their child becomes the next protagonist of the Pokemon franchise. I think that would be the best way to end it. I really think they should have done it at the end of XY and X, Y, and Z and just let Ash go out on his prime, but they didn't do that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that. And again, you thank me for answering your questions and hope I have a good 2018. Same to you, SpookyStone3393. All right, next up is Scott Harrisburger. I hope I'm spelling that right, Scott, and if I'm not, I apologize. Your first question is, when is Straight to Heart coming? I believe the next installment of Straight to Heart is coming out the 12th or the 19th of January. I did take a break because of the holidays and my foreign trip, so I hope you guys understood about that. And then you also asked me, how long does it take to make a more shipping video? On average, a 6-minute long fan fiction video for this channel usually takes me about 2.5 to 3 hours to do a 6-minute video. I know that doesn't make much sense, but that's about the average of what they run between writing, finding the images, editing the images, putting everything together, and then the soundtrack. Like I said, about a 6-minute video will be about 3 hours of work, and that's usually what that boils down to. So again, Scott, I hope those answered your questions, and again, thank you for liking and supporting. The next Straight to Heart will be coming pretty soon. Okay, next up is Haria Tim Bhatia, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and if I'm not, I apologize. You go on to ask me about High School DxD again, and you asked me why I haven't fulfilled my promise to watch it. And like I said, I have fulfilled my promise to watch it. I have watched it. Not a big fan of it, but I have watched it. And you also said that you would give other reviews, if not in videos, than on Twitter. I guess I had forgotten about that part because I wasn't aware I promised that. But I guess I can do that on Twitter at some point. But to answer your question, I have fulfilled the promise. I have watched it, just not the biggest fan of it. Okay, I don't know. Before I answer your next question, I don't know why I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know. It's complicated. It just didn't catch my attention as much as other animes did. Okay, number 2. Will Ash ever catch a legendary? And your Ash's Alola team prediction now that everyone is speculating that Ash will catch an Ultra Beast. I believe I answered that question before. I see Poipole, Incineroar, Decidueye, Pikachu, obviously, and Lycanroc. Probably a blank slot on the last one. I don't think you'll have a complete team if you ask me. And those are my thoughts. And as far as will Ash ever catch a legendary, let's be honest, they never intend to give Ash a legendary. I think the closest thing we're going to get to Ash getting a legendary was Ash with Solgaleo. And drop Mike, those are my thoughts on that. Okay. Next. My face reveal has been a long time pending issue for all your viewers. As I answered before, I plan on doing that as soon as we hit the 5,000, as I promised. Number and then your last question to me, I guess, because I guess that was more of a statement than a question, is will I ever meet you, or will I ever want to meet me? I'd like to meet all my fans and subscribers, to be honest with you. I don't think that's ever going to happen to where I can meet all of you guys in person, but that's always been a thing for me. I'd love to meet fans any chance I get. In fact, when I see a fan, it startles the heck out of me, but I'm always happy to meet them. I'm always happy to shake their hand and say, hey. So anyway, Haria, I hope those answered your questions. And again, thank you for liking and subscribing. Again, on Twitter, you and I share a lot of the same thoughts on Pokemon and everything in general. And again, about high school, not a big fan of it. Next up is the Jasmine. You wish me a Happy New Year. Thank you very much, the Jasmine. And your questions are as followed. I'll list the following names. Do you think any of them show up in Sun and Moon? Will they show up in Sun and Moon? And what do I think they will be involved in? Annabelle, Zozie, Veridity, Sorrel. If you think of other characters, please feel free. I don't think we're going to be seeing any of these three. We might see Annabelle because that was a thing in Sun and Moon. But to be honest, I don't see any of these three in the anime at all. If they do put Annabelle in there, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm just not expecting it. I do think we may see more past companions, like as I stated before, we could possibly do like an extracurricular activity that could involve coordinating, performing, see the three coordinator performers. But other than that, I don't see any of these characters returning, although I'm very sad to say that because Verity and Sorrel, I really did like their characters and would love to see them again. Okay, and then you asked me, what do I make of this family relationship between Satoshi, Kukui, and Burnett? Some people on YouTube and Twitter are trying to force it down people's throat, and you go on to say that personally you find it stupid, and the only reason Ash is staying there is because the school doesn't have a boarding dorm. I'll be honest, I'm okay with it as a concept. I think it's a very nice concept, a very relatable concept, I guess you could say. But at the same time, I agree with you. I do not like anything ever being forced or shoved down my throat, and I do think they force it sometimes. But as a concept, I do think it's a nice concept, and personally, I kind of enjoy it. I just don't like it when people are shoving it down my throat saying I have to enjoy it. I just enjoy it because I enjoy it. And that's the thing with everything in Pokemon. If somebody is forcing me to enjoy it, I don't enjoy it. But if it's just there, they let it flow, they let it go, I enjoy it 9 times out of 10. Okay. And your third question, any fun stories or experiences you'd like to share from your recent trip to Japan? I believe I shared one story earlier about Vrains where I found a guy that had Revolver's theme as a ringtone in that class I taught, and I actually had to convince him to, through the translator, I had to convince him to show me how to get that ringtone because that was awesome. I did actually run into a subscriber of mine in Japan because they recognized my voice as I was walking with a couple of the firefighters, and they did ask me if I was Templar 74, and I said yes I was, and they really did enjoy the videos, and they shook my hand, and it was a very fun time. Nice to know I do have some fans over there. And one of them even made the comment that I should go work for the Pokemon Company because I do a better job of writing sometimes. Again, I rather enjoyed that. So anyway, other than that, don't really have a lot of fun stories or experiences. It was mostly a work trip. Although I will say my partner that went with me thought it was hilarious when we tried to order food, because I was able to order just fine because through watching all this anime, I was able to read and talk a little bit in Japanese and was able to order something fairly good. He tried his hand at copying me, and he got like literally the strangest thing ever. I think it was calamari actually that had the suction cup still attached, and there was no way to return the food, so he had to go ahead and eat it. So while I was sitting there having a nice big plate of sushi, he was there eating squid tentacles. So I still think that's pretty funny. He didn't, but I do. And then back to your second question real quick, because I guess I missed this part. You asked me, when Sun and Moon is mercifully put down, these characters will be forgotten. No, that's not part of your question. I apologize. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I want Gen 8 to happen, and most likely than not with Pokemon, most of the time that's what happens to characters when they leave the show. So anyway, Jasmine, I hope that answered your questions. And again, thank you for liking, subscribing, and the support. Okay, last up, Kevin Macias, and I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, Kevin, and if I'm not, I apologize. You go on to start by saying you love my videos and hope I have a great new year. Thank you so much, Kevin. Same to you. And then you asked me 3 questions revolving Sword Art Online. Your first question is, how did I get into watching Sword Art Online? And that's actually a funny story because one day I was looking on YouTube for something. I can't remember what it was I was looking up. And in the recommended section came a video, and I believe it was the cutscene of Kirito fighting Heathcliff at the end of the SAO saga there in Ironclad, excuse me. And I watched that video, and I'm like, this is epic. What show is this from? And I saw it was on Sword Art Online. Went on to Anime Rush, downloaded all the big Sword Art Online things at the time, including Sword Art Offline and Extras, and then Sword Art Online 1, Sword Art Online 2. Watched all 3 of them. It became one of my favorite series of all time and was hooked. So yeah, it was watching a 2-minute video on YouTube that got me started on Sword Art Online. Okay, then you asked me, who do I ship the most in Sword Art Online and why? And I gotta say, I'm gonna be unconventional here. A lot of people go with the canonical one of Kirito and Asuna. I actually ship Kirito with Sinon more. I just don't know what it is. I think their characters are a good chemistry match, and from time to time you see them bickering like an old married couple. But yeah, and of course there was some excerpts of what actually happened between Kirito and Sinon, excuse me. And yeah, so I think Kirito and Sinon I ship more than Kirito and Asuna. Okay, third up, what were my thoughts on Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale movie? Did you enjoy it or not? Really enjoyed Ordinal Scale. There were a couple of little things I had with it, I wasn't entirely sure how I felt about Ordinal Scale at first watching the movie, but as the movie went on, it grew on me. I'll just leave it at that. And after the second time watching it, I'm like, okay, I finally got it. I'm fully immersed in this thing. Love Ordinal Scale, and I especially love that final boss fight there at the end where you see everybody from all the different online games come in and help them out. We see all the guys from Gun Gale Online. We see all of them from ALO. And then, of course, Yui actually reloads the SAO data into Kirito Asuna in the main group, with Sinon being a bonus. And that was another gripe of mine. I don't think she should have gotten that bonus, in my opinion. But, what can you do? I got to be honest, though. She is badass. One of the best snipers ever, so I was okay with it. I let it slide. But overall, my thoughts on Ordinal Scale was a really great movie, and I did enjoy it. After about the second time watching it, it became better and better, in my opinion. All right, everybody. Those are all your questions for hashtag AskTemplar74 for the end of 2017 end of year Q&A. I look forward to answering all your guys' questions, and all of these questions were really good questions. I'm sorry if some things you guys had questions about weren't entirely clear. I know a couple of anime review people here, or a couple of anime review questions here, rather. I guess I missed out on the part where I was supposed to review them. Sorry, my bad. I'll get to work on that right away. But overall, I did look forward to answering all your questions, and you guys did not disappoint. Thank you all so much for the support in 2017. Hope it continues into 2018. And as always, everybody, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll talk to you all next time. Thank you again. You guys are all awesome. Goodbye, everybody.